guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of The Library of Fates by Aditi Khorana. This is a YA fantasy story that takes place in a Middle Eastern-inspired society. Our main character is Princess Amrita, and she is potentially being married off to this king who's kind of this warrior, king-conqueror type person, and she comes in contact with an oracle who is brought to her as a bridal gift, and this oracle predicts that this king is going to take over and destroy her and her family, and she has to make a split decision, and everything kind of takes off from there. So first off, I'm going to talk about the world building. The world building with this book, I think, was my favorite part of it. It is such a unique story. This book reminded me of the Star Touch Queen in a lot of ways because it takes from a different mythology than we're used to seeing within fantasy stories. So it's a unique mythology with unique myths and things that are based mostly on Middle Eastern, I believe Indian culture, and I have seen some of those things mixed into that book, and then it was in here as well with a lot of new things as well. So it was just a different take on things and different myths and legends and stuff, and it's something I would have liked to see even more of. There was a ton of it in here, but I would have liked to have seen even more of that expanded. Next, let me talk about our characters. Now, Amrita was not a favorite of mine. I just found her to be incredibly naive, and she did so many things that were predictably not going to turn out good for her, and not in a way that I typically like. Like, I like stubborn, unlikable protagonists. She wasn't really that. She was just somebody who didn't really think before she acted, and then lamented the consequences of her actions. Like, if you're gonna do stuff, just go into it and do it and believe in yourself, and she just kind of didn't. And I found a lot of the characters to be incredibly flat, including her. I found the relationships that she formed to be very quick and kind of meaningless. The relationship between her and the Oracle Thala is very quick, and it just doesn't really make a ton of sense why they form this bond. And there's also some kind of like romantic inklings that don't quite make sense with Amrita and another character that she comes in contact with. It's just all very sudden and not quite explained properly. I also feel like the passage of time isn't really shown well within this story. I don't really know how long this all took, but I get the sense that it didn't take very long. And that's why a lot of these relationships and bonds that she makes don't really make sense, because the timeline of it doesn't quite make sense. So I found a lot of parts of this very just insufferable and eye-rolly because of Amrita and some of the choices she made, and just, again, the relationships that I didn't trust, because there's no reason that these people should be this bonded to one another. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the plot. This was also an incredibly rushed plot. I just felt like we didn't have the time. Like I said, the time you didn't really feel passing. It seems like this could be broken into multiple books even, although I'm not sure I would have wanted to deal with multiple books of this main character, but I just felt like it took not enough time to get certain places. They're going on this kind of road trip quest thing, and they get everywhere really quickly. We don't have enough time to really see some of these different like mythology elements and folklore elements that were really cool, and a lot of things just weren't properly explained, and I'm like, how is this happening? What's going on? And it took a long time to get to the point, because there is this main mission that they're kind of going after, and then that's wrapped up really quickly in a couple of chapters. I just never felt a sense of danger for these characters at all throughout this, and there's supposed to be this sense of danger almost continuously, but characters would get into and out of situations within a chapter, and these chapters were short. So it didn't really leave me feeling like they were ever in danger or that they were never going to meet their goals. It was always like, oh well, of course they're going to get out of this in a chapter, and then they did. So overall, I found The Library of Fates mostly disappointing. I think it had a lot of potential. I like these kinds of stories and these kinds of worlds based on different mythology, and I like this particular kind of story that it was based on. I like to see more of that, but ultimately, I found this one to be lackluster with the characters and the plot. I gave The Library of Fates 2 out of 5 stars. So comment down below and let me know what you thought of The Library of Fates. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!